What's up, everybody? We are doing a special show today to talk shit to Ben Garcia, Texas, and Oklahoma. We hope you guys end in a tie.
I
But
don't. I hope they lose. I hope Texas lose.
we're back with the college football show for week 6. We week 6 now.
Yep.
It's been a wild ride so far. And I mean, every week we talk about the chaos, and we still don't have much of an answer for said chaos. So here we are again, hoping that we can get some clarity on what could be potentially the top 4 teams in the nation. The Big Ten has a huge matchup today, but not to be forgotten is the Red River rivalry, among other things as well. So we'll go ahead and knock these out. First game up, Michigan State, number 11, Michigan State at Rutgers. Rutgers is the 4.5 dog. Over unders at 49.5. Rutgers got absolutely blown out last week, which further proves my point that there's a cult in Ohio State where they just throw games against Ohio State. Like, in order for you to get out your contract and leave that university, you have to agree that when you coach another team and you play Ohio State, you lose by at least 28. And Rutgers seems to be holding up their end of the bargain. Michigan State had a fun game last week, which we kind of anticipated. Ultimately, they outclassed Western Kentucky, but nevertheless, it was more entertaining than I think the public wanted to acknowledge. What do you think about today's game, Marcus?
So first, I want to take it back a step to say, whoever in Vegas put that plus 15 Rutgers, y'all put a bad in Greg Schiano's back, and I thought that's probably been the worst line of the college football season. Now, I've been watching the Ohio State Maryland line. It's just crazy how Vegas sets lines, right, from week to week, because when I saw that, I just thought that was crazy. But I do think Rutgers is good. Like, watching Rutgers, Ohio State's really, really good. Ohio State's really, really talented. Rutgers, for once, is a competent Big Ten team. Like, this could be a bowl caliber team from Rutgers. Greg Schiano, good team. I think in this game, even though I don't think Michigan State's the 11th best team in the country, I think Michigan State should probably be 15 to 18 or somewhere in that range. I do think they easily roll 4.5. I lay that all day to Rutgers. I think that Vedral is bad, man. Every other part of their team is Big Ten caliber except Noah Vedral. Like, he's just not good.
He's awful. He's awful. Let's just be honest. He's awful.
He's awful, man. If they had a better quarterback, I know they probably don't want to play Gavin Wimsatt this year, who is their Quinn Ewers, a guy who left, a top 100 recruit, guy who left high school in Kentucky. Now at Rutgers, they don't want to play him. But, I mean, I just think Mel Tucker, man, and Michigan State's playing good football right now. So I don't think Rutgers can come close to that 4.5, because I think it's tough to get up back-to-back weeks. You get up at home for an Ohio State game, you get waxed, and you got to get up for another top 10 opponent, in Michigan State, top 15 opponent. I would say I like the under 49.5. Rutgers has offensively, they have some issues. And Michigan State, while they score points, that's not an offense that is going to score on you. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to get some points. They're going to get 21 to 28. I just don't see how they go over. I think in order for this to hit the over, we're going to need Michigan State to go over 35 points. And I don't know if they got that type of explosiveness in that.
Yeah. It's one of those games where if you're playing the over, you're going to need Michigan State to push that.
Yep.
Even if Rutgers was scoring, they don't run the tempo necessary to really push overs. They need a catalyst. Michigan State, I like the later points of Michigan State here. Most people don't buy into the revenge game angle in college sports, but they got embarrassed last year by Rutgers, and this is a team that was projected to win like 2.5 games, and they have played with a chip on their shoulder every single week. Doesn't matter who's in front of them, whether you're expected to beat them or expected to lose, they come out and they play some good ball. And honestly, if they win like 80% of their last games, Tucker's got to be coach of the year, man. Like, this is an incredible job. All things considered.
They were picked last in the Big Ten East by the media poll, by all the writers at the Chicago Tribune, other Midwest publication. They were picked last in the Big Ten East. They picked Rutgers over them, and I think you're right. If Mel Tucker look, he's got some tough games left. He's still got to play Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. But even if he finished the season 9-3 and those are your only 3 losses, I still think he should be the Big Ten Coach of the Year.
Yeah,
because I think 22 transfers or something crazy.
Yeah. Donald, we'll get to that. That's game of the week, so we'll get to that a little bit later in the show.
Donald?
Donald is the homie from IBS. He does some low key DJing, and he plays PlayStation, so he's cool. The next game, we don't want to cover it, but we have to. Number 6, Oklahoma versus number 21, Texas. Texas is the 3.5-point dog. Over-unders at 64. These lines come from mybookie.ag, and they were done as of like 9 a.m. So this game will probably have a ton of action on it. I'm not sure if the line's going to move up past 4. I highly doubt it. Most people that I've seen, if you like Oklahoma, you like them to win by almost 10. If you know how these games go, you know that Oklahoma winning by 10 means they're probably going to barely win if they do win. I'm going to shock the world. I hate to say it, but I got Texas money line. I can't stand Spencer Rattler. I don't want nothing to do with Spencer Rattler. Yep. I think he's going to blow the game. And I trust Sarkisian to do
nasty.
I trust Sarkisian to do what needs to be done, man. I trust Sarkisian to do what needs to be done. Look, I know. Hey, look, forget all y'all, okay? I'm not happy about this. I'm not proud of this. And if I lose this game, it's one of the few times that if I actually lose money, I'll be okay with that. But it's less of to me, it comes down to what I feel like I see when I watch Oklahoma, and what I see is a coach that probably wishes he has a better quarterback at times. Like you just it's the little things. It's truly the little things, because they win games, so you can't complain about the results. But it's like, how many times are you going to get by off of basically the fact that the other team, the other team just isn't good enough to come back? And it happened against Tulane. He did some inexplicable turnover against Kansas State. I mean, this is like a routine thing. Now, I will give him credit. He has shown up in the Red River, and Oklahoma has won the last 4, but this is Sarkisian's first, and I trust him more. I trust Herman. Texas money line. I'm disgusted.
I'll say this about Texas. If Bijan can get into I think Texas is going to run into a big problem, because I think they're going to get to the point of where the law of diminishing returns. They're going to run Bijan Robinson so much that it's going to be detrimental to their offense. I know that sounds crazy, but this dude's a sophomore. He's on pace for like 200 carries. That's a lot in college football. That is a lot.
I wouldn't draft him. That's all I'm saying.
He's going to be beat up. That's going to be a lot of mileage on him, man. Yeah. And I think he is by far the best back in the country. And I arguably say that he could possibly be one of the top 3 players in the country, because he runs with a lot of vision. He's got good pace. He's got good power. He's got everything you want in the back. He's got great size. But ultimately, it comes down to, with rivalry games, there's going to be that explosiveness, those big plays. That's what really makes rivalry games, man. I don't know if Texas can generate enough of those. Like, I think if their plan is to be able to grind. I mean, I know that's Ben. He don't want to hear that, but I mean, this is statistical. I mean, I get it just from a regular football fan. You can watch the game, but any back who has taken 200 or more carries in college football the returning year, I have to send you this statistic. It's crazy wrap up about just backs and their usage in college football. Mm-hmm. But I think Oklahoma is going to control this game, because I just think that they're going to force Texas to score some points. Now, I know I agree with you. Spencer Rattler, he's Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah. One half where he's one of the better quarterbacks in the country, and then he just makes really bad quarterback decisions. Like, I mean, there's nothing else you can say about it but just bad decision, bonehead plays. So taking Texas money line, man, is, like I said, that's freaky. That's real nasty. Don't like that at all. That is scandalous. But for me,
every time somebody talks about it, And if you listen to who's our guy, Gus Johnson, the Red River Shootout, like he's always talking about it. Like, but I would caution falling for that. Sarkisian he's a smart coach. He's got NFL play calling experience. He's obviously been around for a while. Typically, when you get coaches like this, they go against high tempo, high octane type offenses. They try to control the clock more and take a more subtle approach to their offensive game plan. So you would anticipate Lincoln Riley is going to do the same thing. Like Lincoln Riley doesn't want Texas to have a lot of possession. It wants to slow the game down, get ahead, and chew some clock. Might be an issue for Oklahoma because they're not a good running team this year. But we will see. These games typically don't go the way that people expect. So I am with you on leaning to the under and still kind of disgusted that I picked Texas money line. But hey, it is what it is, man. I don't like Spencer Rattler. I really don't. Next game, number 13, Arkansas at number 17, Ole Miss. Ole Miss favored by 5, over-unders at 66.5. Everybody in this game is beat up. Everybody, like all the momentum that they thought they had, and it's kind of funny. Arkansas was a victim to Georgia, and Ole Miss was a victim to Alabama. They really are the two best teams in the country, man. So, like, if you're coming off a loss to either one of those teams, you can't really be too upset. But Arkansas didn't score, and that's obviously like hurting. And then Ole Miss, I guess the popcorn was stale because that didn't work out too well for them. In this game, I'm a little scared to lay or to take the 5 with Arkansas. I really wish it was more of a touchdown or maybe a touchdown and a half. But I feel like you're asking yourself for Arkansas to slow down an Ole Miss offense that is going to be probably very motivated to look better.
Yep. I think the thing for Ole Miss, man, is coming back, like you said, there's no shame in losing to Georgia or Alabama if you're Arkansas. And because, like you said, they're probably the two best teams in college football. I just think, first of all, I think both of these teams are a little overrated. I think Arkansas has probably been a little inflated off of that big Texas win because, I mean, they really haven't done a lot of anything else really outside of that, which is a good win. It's a solid win. I mean, a top 25 win. I just thought them last week being a top 15 team. I was like, this is crazy. What are people saying? Like, I think that in today's, like you saw, is look, man, if you can't get to 28 points, you're going to get blown. You're going to get your doors blown off in college football. And I think that's what Arkansas is. I think they're probably a year, maybe a 2 away from really getting Robinson some help on the edge and, some things in the run game, blah, blah. But Ole Miss, man, what a way to – I mean, Lane Kiffin is the ultimate troll. But one thing I do like about Lane, he trolls, it doesn't work, he owns it and say, hey, man, look, I poked the bear. I'm sorry. I got what I got. But I think that on paper, I think Ole Miss is probably a little better. They're positioned a little better to be able to rebound from that win. I forgot what their number 1 receiver name, but he broke his leg. Corral's a little injured. They got some defensive players a little injured, but I do think they're better than Arkansas. And I do like them with the giving 5. And the over-under, I'm going under, man. I think 66.5 is a lot of points from Ole Miss. Look like they couldn't find the end zone last week, and neither could Arkansas. And I know they're better teams, but they played last week. But still, man, it's just something about when you lose your number 1 target, man. We saw that from any quarterback, Justin Fields, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence. It's just something about in college football to having your number 1 guy going down that really changes the dynamic of an offense. And I think with that happen, I do like Ole Miss to cover. I just don't like that 66.5 is a lot of points.
Yeah, that's asking for a shootout. And again, there's just no way Arkansas is going to try to have a shootout with Ole Miss. That'd just be ridiculous. But sometimes in these games, you have no choice. You're just forced to play that speed. Arkansas has a pretty dynamic offense as far as playmakers go when they want to show it. So that's kind of enticing me to take the points with Arkansas. But like you said, it's just one of those things where like the talent on Ole Miss is there. They just ran into arguably the best or second best team in the country and just couldn't keep up. And that's perfectly fine. Yep. Let's see. I guess the style of this game also makes it interesting. If Arkansas can control the ball and slow it down, then we'll see. But I don't even think I like them in the scenario where they're on the road. Like the game I saw personally, and then the other game that they played well was a neutral site. So it's like they haven't had a true road game. Except for Georgia, and that didn't go too well for them. So, number 2 Georgia at number 18 Auburn. Auburn is plus 15, over under 46.5. The only thing I can see here is that Auburn just gets up for this game and has like one of those games where they just make it tough on somebody. We've seen them do that in the past when they had Gus. I am not a fan of the new coach. I think they got a lot of internal.
Brian Harsin.
Yeah. They got a lot of stuff going on, man. Like it's all over message boards, and hell, the fans are still mad. He's got an Alabama player as his offensive line coach. I'm like, is that really matter? I guess it does to them, but I mean, hell, as long as they're blocking. But I mean, the same things I say about Rattler, I said about Bo Nix last year, and so I'll just go with the fact that Georgia's probably the best defense that I've seen in a very long time, and I would like them to cover this number. I think they can cover this number, but I'm not willing to lay the points on the road in Auburn because I don't need it. If I needed this bet, I would probably lay it on Georgia.
Man, I think Auburn's defense is solid enough to keep UGA's offense in check because UGA just is not an explosive team. They're going to be able to run the ball. They want to methodically get down the field, play action, take their shots. I think Auburn's defense is good enough to be able to handle that. But at the same time, Bo Nix is just, I don't know.
He'll give him 7. He's going to give him 7.
He's going to give you – he'll come out and, he'll have some solid drives. But, I mean, he's good for giving the team at least 10 points. I think some games when he makes some really bad decisions too. But I like Georgia I like Georgia to cover that 15. I just think that it's just probably too much. They're just more talented than Auburn. And if you're going to be in this type of game, you're going to need an offense from Auburn. If Auburn had an offense that could score, they could generate points, they had some creativity. Bo Nix was good. They have some players on the edges. I would feel a little differently, but I do like the under. I think both defenses are going to keep both offenses in check somewhat. But I do think, it'll be UGA by, I don't know, 25-17 or something like that, man. I don't know. I'm kind of between in a one-score game and getting to 15. Sometimes getting to 15 points is, I don't know. Georgia's offense isn't consistent. I've been going back and forth with that one all week, man. I'm like, damn, I don't know about that plus 15 Auburn, but I definitely like the under.
Yeah, I would just worry about the pace of both offenses, and the defense is just making it an ugly game. Yep. I am convinced Bo Nix is going to give Georgia at least 7. And then I am convinced that Georgia is at least a touchdown better, but we're talking 15, not 14. That's where the tricky number comes in. If it was 14, I would definitely lay it. 15, I'm a little hesitant, but to Georgia's credit, they've pretty much run through everybody. So,
I would say this. Yeah. I want to ask this question. This isn't hating. Jay Holler gets so butthurt. He gets so mad when you even ask a question or criticize. If we're judging Georgia as being one of the better defenses in the country, what offenses have they played? Isn't it yin and yang? I always ask questions that, like, when people say, because his thing will be, Ohio State has a great offense because they play really, really bad defenses. But I'm like, you guys play really, really bad offenses. There's what? How many good offenses in the SEC? Bama, Florida, Kentucky. That's it. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe Auburn is the first offense that will be able to just throw something at them. Not saying that they're going to beat them or cover the spread, but just to maybe see, like, Brian Harsin is a good offensive coach. Now, I don't think that he has maybe the pieces at quarterback specifically that he needs at Auburn, but part of me does think that there's something there, man. I'm not saying Georgia's bad, but I'm just saying, like, they haven't played an offense with a pulse. The Arkansas is the best offense they've played.
Yeah, that is true. Arkansas is the best offense that they play. I mean, South Carolina doesn't have much offense. Vandy definitely doesn't. Vandy doesn't even have a program. UAB is inferior. And then, I mean, from what we've seen of Clemson this year, their offense isn't hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah.
What I would say to that is, I'm a big believer in you beat people how you're supposed to beat them.
Yep,
So if the
that's true.
offense sucks and you don't allow points, you don't give up any like BS scores or anything like that, then to me you're you can be evaluated as being good. Like you don't let a team like Vandy score. You don't let a team like UAB get more than the touchdown. You hold a team like Arkansas under 10, and then a defense like Clemson, offense like Clemson's is trash. You don't let them score a touchdown if you're on that level of what we would consider an elite defense. And I think they've done that this year. So I'm not too critical on Georgia's on Joe. This is funny though. Girl talking about Holla. He probably is. He doesn't watch the show, but I guarantee you he knows we're talking trash. But I was gonna say I wouldn't be too critical on that. You beat people how you're supposed to beat them.
That's fair.
And until you run across a good offense where we can truly gauge that, like today, like an offense that has some talent or more talent than you faced before, then we can truly see what you're about. And everything I've seen on Georgia's defense when I watch them play is just impressive. Like they're a true unit.
Yeah, no, they're elite. They're elite.
And I love these defenses that play with that energy, play as a unit. And that is why we are going into this game of the week. Number 4, Penn State at number 3, Iowa. Iowa's favored by 1.5 over under 41. Donald wanted us to give him a play. Donald, I'm going to tell you, man, you're going to hate what I'm about to say, but it really is a true toss-up game.
It's kind of a pick 'em. I mean, if you look at it, Iowa's a home 1.5 point favorite. That's a pick 'em.
Yeah, it really is. So, like, I'm not going to call anybody crazy unless they play the over. That's the only thing I would be like, you're kind of crazy for that. But like, as far as picking a side, I'm not going to call you crazy. Me personally, I am very, very hesitant to back Franklin because, like I said off the air, like this is the game where I'm just like, yo, what are you doing? What are you doing? However, I've backed Dana 2 weeks in a row and I've won, so I'm feeling a little lucky. I think Penn State is a superior defense. I think Iowa's offense is somewhat inflated by the fact that they've played teams that have turned the ball over and given them short fields. Penn State isn't necessarily that kind of team. I've seen them play the field position game and grind out against other teams. But this Iowa team is very, very talented. I just think that Penn State's better in the trenches, and I think that's where the game will be won.
Listen to me. Dog whisperer.
You have been on the dogs, though, for real.
If you listened to me last week, you would have been 4-1 on dog plays, and you would have cashed it in. I'm the dog whisperer. I'm going Penn State on the road, +1.5. I like Joey Porter Jr. I like Jahan Dotson. I think that they have better skill players on the edge on both sides. They got a better secondary. They got I think Penn State has one of the better defenses in the country too. Yeah. Brent Pride, they're a 4-3 attacking defense. Always has been Penn State. They got a really good back four. And they also got playmakers on the other side. Now, I think this comes down to in-game management.
Oh, God.
Versus James Franklin. They both can lead. Kirk Ferentz isn't a very good in-game manager either. For somebody who watches a lot of Big Ten football, I know he gets that Barry Alvarez, Big Ten. You know, people don't write bad things about him, say bad things about him because he's an elder statesman. But his in-game management has been very, very, bad for Howard. There's nowhere else to say it. I think I'm going Penn State on the road. I don't know a want factor. I think whenever Penn State is in these positions as being a dog and people are, I would say that the public money is mostly on Iowa. Mm-hmm. And I think that the perception is Penn State just is Penn State and people expecting them to go into Iowa and lose. I think something about Franklin when he has that dog. Now, when he's a favorite, you don't bet on him. When Penn State, whenever they're a favorite, don't bet on them. But I will say that I think I saw they're 5-0 in their last. They're 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 games, and I think that them going on the road. Kinnick Stadium's a tough place to play, but I don't think Iowa's offense is going to really press Penn State enough. And I think that Penn State's offense, Noah Cain, Jahan Dotson have enough explosive athletes to be able to, in the third or fourth quarter, when it's a 14-14 game, boom, you need a big 4. They can take a 7-yard play and turn it into 30 yards or whatever that may be. So I'm going another road dog, man. This is my dog. Hey, man, I've been a dog player, I guess, because I'm a dog. But I don't know, man. It is what it is, and I've been good money with them, man.
Yeah, the trademark of an elite defense is how quickly you can turn momentum into 6 points for your team,
Yep.
or like switching fields like that. This Penn State defense has done that a lot. Honestly, the Wisconsin game is essentially how they won. Like the defense was just elite. Like they were getting turnovers in the red zone, and then when they needed big plays, they came through. And gave them short fields and allowed this Penn State offense to come along. So if you sputter as a Penn State offense, you got the defense that can handle it. Yeah. I don't know if Iowa can truly say that. Like their defense statistically isn't bad. Honestly, I think in total defense they're better than Penn State, but I don't think they've got that. Like you said, they don't have the athletes on the edge. They're not as explosive. If we were talking about defensive havoc, Penn State symbolizes what you would think personifies defensive havoc, whereas Iowa is just a good, solid defense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Penn State too. I think last year they covered the number here. I think they were like 4.5, maybe 5, but they covered the number. But this team, I think, is another team that's on a mission. And this is a big game for the Big Ten. It's a big game for Ohio State, for real. Because
it is a big game for Ohio State. And the Big Ten. I think for me, I would personally I would rather, we're going to beat Penn State regardless. I think I would probably rather Iowa to win. So I think when it comes down to it, when we look if we get to Indy at the Big Ten championship game, it just looks better to have a number 3 Iowa versus a number 6 Ohio State. You know what I mean? For our resume, undefeated Iowa Western Division champ. But at the same time, too, look, all 3 of these, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and Iowa. And I don't want to throw Sparty in there, but I think that round robin of 5 teams over the next, I don't know how many weeks, we got Penn State at home in 3 weeks and they got Michigan. It's just going to be that round robin of teams, but it is a big game, man. This is the first top 10. This is the first top 5 game that does not include Ohio State in the Big Ten since 1996 or something, 1996. It's a wild statistic. And I'm like, what a conference of losers. What a conference of bums. Y'all done nothing. And this is a big spot for James Franklin, for Kirk Ferentz, and for both of these programs, man. I think if Penn State goes out, man, and wins this game, this type of national game, I think James Franklin gone, man. I don't see how he doesn't end up at USC. It's just too much smoke there. And I just think that if he, getting into other storylines, other things about the game, it is a very, very big game for the Big Ten because we just don't get these type of games often, unless it's Ohio State, Michigan, maybe Penn State a little bit, but to have that type of national exposure and these type of eyes on the game, I do think is important for the conference.
It's Franklin's job unless Urban wants it. That's what I've been telling people.
Oh, listen, Urban had a good plan. I'm gonna divorce Shelley, I'm gonna move to LA. I'm going to be the man in Cali. I'm gonna hang out with Joey Bosa in LA, and I'm gonna be that guy. And I think that plan is still coming. I think that plan is somewhere coming.
Shelly said it's fine. She understands.
We all
yeah. You know what? I'm gonna move on to the next game. LSU at number 16, Kentucky. Kentucky's favored by 2.5. What a twilight zone this is. LSU is not ranked, and they're visiting number 16, Kentucky, and they're dogs. What? Over-unders at 50.5. This LSU team is just up and down, up and down. Like, this is a game where I feel like it's similar to the UCLA game where I was like, man, they about to get washed. And then they come in, they just ball. They just ball. So, and I will say this. One of my gambling rules, and I don't have a lot, but one of them that I try to stick to is I don't like betting teams at the big wins. Especially if they're favorites, like a team that's typically in an underdog role, coming off a big win, and then the next week they're favored in a role where they're usually an underdog. Yeah, it's usually a letdown spot. So I'm gonna take a shot here and bet LSU money line.
You gonna bet on Orgeron?
Yeah, I'm gonna bet on Mumble Mouth, but I'm gonna bet on Mumble Mouth, and like I said, it's just. it's just a situational play. Honestly, if this was any other way, I would probably go Kentucky. But I'm feeling like today's a good day to kind of take some risk on things like this. Like I said, Kentucky just coming on. I mean, they stormed the field. They beat a top 10 team in the nation at the time, a team that has historically just smacked them around in football. So it was huge for them, and I just wonder about their focus to maintain that against LSU.
You know, Kentucky was one of my dog plays last season.
Yeah.
I like the Wildcats. I like Will Lutz. I think, man, I forgot that offensive coordinator, but you know, he was Sean McVay's essentially assistant offensive coordinator, kind of a GA role in the NFL. So you see a lot of the Sean McVay wide zone, a lot of split zone, a lot of counters, a lot of jet sweeps. You know, it's very, you see it when you know it when you see it. You know, a lot of bunch formations. And I think Kentucky's in a really, really good spot because, like you said, I do think there's some letdown potential because I think LSU is probably still a little better. But, I mean, Stingley's hurt. They got Elias Ricks has been up and down. I don't know what's up with LSU, man. It's just,
I mean, I know what's up with them.
Yeah, Orgeron's out of there.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a really, really good coach. I think that is the problem. And I think Mark Stoops is a solid coach at Kentucky. He's been building. They've been in a really, really, you know, the last 3 to 4 years, Kentucky's been solid. They've been bowl caliber, 9 to 10 wins, and that's what you expect. But that 2.5, I think they easily cover that. I'm going definitely the under. I am 100% going on the under. I think 51 points, how I see a half, 51 points. Kentucky's not an offense that's just going to explode on you for 42, 35 points, you know, and LSU's offense hasn't shown much offensively either to be able to just get up and down the field like you just think about. When I look at the over-under, I look at their pace of play, how many possessions they're going to get, and it's just I'm going well under that under, but I want Kentucky to cover, man. I know it's in a huge spot. They're coming off one of their, you know, a big win, especially when you beat a divisional, not just a conference rival, but a divisional rival in Florida, man. That really says a lot for quote unquote a basketball school to beat the mighty Florida Gators. You know what I mean? And then they turn around and have LSU come to your home. That is a letdown spot. So I'm not going to touch that 2.5. I do like it. I wouldn't touch it, and I definitely love the under 50.5.
I'm trying to find the game on Action Sports to see. Action Sports is an app I use. They usually tell you what people are betting as far as like public money, sharps, and things like that. They pull from various like Westgate and William Hill, and just kind of tell you where the money's at. So give me 1 second. Let me pull that up. Here we go. It's actually pretty even. 55% of the tickets are on Kentucky. 45% of the money is on Kentucky. So there's a slight sharp edge for LSU on the spread. And then it's 50-50 on the over-under. And on the money line, 51% is on LSU. 49% are on Kentucky. So should be an interesting game, honestly. Not the game of the week for the nightcap, which we unfortunately don't have a great Pac-12 game this week, but we do have another interesting matchup. I don't know who did that ranking. I think Tristan did that ranking, so I apologize, Jay. 1023. You guys are better than me. You're at least top 100. You're at least top 100. But number 9 Michigan is visiting Nebraska. Nebraska's 2.5 dogs, over unders at 50. I'm gonna let you lead on this one, man. You tell me what you think, because this game has been one of the most highly debated games in our chat in sports gambling this week, as far as college goes and on TV.
I will say this: 1, Michigan for the first time in a while is looking okay. I do think this team is a lot better, right? I think Cade McNamara is a good QB option. I think bringing in Martindale, whatever his name, from the Ravens has really done a lot for their defense, but I still don't think they're good. I think they've benefited from being a good story team. You know what I mean? Like, good for Jim Harbaugh for kind of figuring it out. But I think that you go in and you lay 40, 50 points against MAC teams. You come out, you should have lost to Rutgers. Rutgers should have beaten them.
Mm-hmm.
Should have beaten Michigan. They're holding their chest high. You know, and I don't know if Nebraska can do enough offensively to test them. But I will say I do like Michigan to go on the road and win and to cover. And I like that under as well at 50. I don't see how in Michigan offense and the Nebraska offense combines for 50 points.
Yeah, so like I was showing them in the chat, it's kind of funny. All the look at this, no damn debate. It is a debated game. So the Michigan offense advantage against the Nebraska defense is the same as the Nebraska offense's advantage against the Michigan defense. So on paper, they essentially from the stats kind of are even. So as a gambler, if you're telling me that statistically these two teams are even as far as their chances of scoring points and stopping each other, then I'm going to take however many points you can give me with the home team. Now, with that being said, I'm not a fan of Scott Frost, and I know you still on the Frost train a little. I know Jay would come on and cuss everybody out and get off the mic. He's not a fan of Frost either. Harbaugh and this Michigan team have been playing good football. Like it's been winning football. The Rutgers game was the only game where I felt like they looked like the old Michigan. If Nebraska can force them into passing downs, then we're gonna have issues, and that's honestly been one of the unsung strengths of Nebraska over the last or since they play Illinois is that their rush defense has been pretty good. That's why they were able to stay in the game against Michigan State, and that's why they were able to kind of put themselves in a situation where we're making fun of them, but we're also like it's kind of tongue in cheek, like they are a live dog in this game.
Yeah, they are a live dog, and it's like I mean, but actually, it's funny because College Game Day got a picture of so Michigan. The first 3 games they averaged 350 yards on offense rushing. Mm-hmm. The last 2 games have been conference opponents, 112 yards. Yeah. I do think Michigan is overinflated a little bit, but I also think Nebraska sucks too. So
they do, man. They're just a team that like their identity, man. I just don't understand.
They're one and the same. They're literally like the same team. That Spider-Man meme when they
basically.
Frost and Harbaugh share some similarities in coaching. They both make some bonehead decisions that'll leave you questioning. They seem like they don't get the most out of their talent, but they always seem like they give you just enough to keep hope alive, to just like, man, you know what? In that next spot, maybe Frost and Adrian Martinez can pull it off. You know what I mean? And I think for Michigan, I think Nebraska's defense is really good. I think Nebraska has a solid mid-tier Big Ten defense. And I think that this is probably the best team Michigan has played so far. And arguably the best defense anyway. So it's just like, man, I don't know, man. Watching Cade McNamara, I still just don't.
He's not good.
Yeah, he's just average.
Yeah, I'll just be honest. He's not good. I'm not calling him trash because he's not trash because you can still move the ball with him every now and then. But consistency, man, it's not there. And in order to kind of get out of these situations like Rutgers, they hit a real like wall against Rutgers. Yeah, and they tried to change it up and get him to pass them out of it, and he couldn't do it. And it's like, man. Wasn't like Rutgers was even playing them to pass; they were playing them to run, and he still couldn't do it. So it's just one of those things where he's got to be better, and you expect him to be better, and he's not. Just the same you could say about Martinez. Martinez has been the same system for 4 years, and we're still saying the same shit about him, which I'm not even going to correlate that with Spencer Rattler, but I'm just saying there's some similarities there when it comes to complaints. Like you're still doing the same shit, and you've been in this system for a long enough time. We should be seeing progress. But Scott Frost versus Jim Harbaugh, a true mirror match of failures. I'm going to take my points with Nebraska. Hope that they win so I can talk shit to Akeem, but I'm not really confident in it.
I mean, the thing is, I'm not a games like this, I'm always torn, man, because I see pretty much the same team. I see Michigan and Nebraska as the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to who's going to have the better game, Adrian Martinez or Cade McNamara. I mean, I guess I could side with McNamara. I don't know. It's just like I'm an offensive person. I believe on betting on offense. Offense says a lot about the team, and I just don't see it from either team. So it's a coin flip to me. I'm like, I could see Nebraska. No, I can't.
Cade McNamara or Adrian Martinez. What an awful scenario to be in. Yeah. It's like one of those memes where they have like the worst shooters up of all time, and it's like this shooter is your birth month is your shooter, and it you'll die if they miss it, and it's like Shaq or Ben Simmons for a three or a free throw. It's like, what the hell, man? Like, what am I really picking here? Akeem doesn't agree. We miss you, Akeem. I like when you used to come on the show and say things that we could just run back and laugh at you. This was actually your year to kind of get some shots off, and you're not available, which is funny. Typical Michigan. You don't even know how to win. All right, so quick hits. First one up, Maryland at Ohio State. Ohio State's favored by 21. Over under is 71.5. Everything about this game is ridiculous. The spread is ridiculous. The over under is ridiculous. I'm not even going to watch it.
I'll say this about my Buckeyes. We do this. I don't know what it is about Ohio State. We do this all the time to where, look, we were a young team. And I will say, I do think offense isn't an issue. We're the number one offense in the country. We're averaging, 8.7 yards per play or whatever it may be. Offense will be fine. I think defense is going to get there. We're going to see. I think we're going to see how good they are today a little bit against a decent
Maryland team offense. They had
Dante Dumas. They had Dante Dumas. They do got our issue has been big play. Raheem Jarrett's going to be a top 25 NFL pick. If people haven't watched Raheem Jarrett, he is Stephon Diggs 2.0. He literally looks like Stephon Diggs in a Maryland uniform. Sophomore, was a 5-star guy from he's from DC. I forgot which high school he went to. Say all that to say this is that last week it's Michigan's fault that Rutgers line was only 15 points. They saw Rutgers play really, really well and against Michigan in that spot. They saw a team like Ohio State that's young, still figuring it out, and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not hyping up OSU. It speaks for itself. At the end of the season, Texas is going to be a 4-loss team. Ohio State going to be a 12-1 Big Ten champ college football participant. Yeah. Sit your ass down, please. Do that for me, Ben. But I do want to see what my Buckeyes do today. It's good to see us be able to put together 2 solid weeks defensively. CJ Stroud, I do think the injury bit he sat for the last 2. We lost to Oregon. Here's the thing. I don't know why it's so hard for football fans or writers to do this. Whenever you're given new information, you have to reassess situations. Oregon came into our house and beat us. We could not make adjustments on wide zone. We got Kerry Coombs the hell out of there. And we're going to see what the rest of the season holds. Oregon's not a bad team. I don't think Oregon's a bad team. Losses happen. Texas hasn't been in a position Ohio State has in 30 years? Your kids look at Texas as what? Just a research university. They don't look at them as being a football power. I ain't going on my Texas versus Ohio State high horse today. But I think the Bucs are going to be all right, man. I think the Big Ten as a whole going to be all right coming down the stretch because you're going to have Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, Iowa. That's pretty much about it, man. I'm excited to see what CJ Stroud grows into because, man, the Chase Howells of the world they're unfair, man. They're unfair to a dude who's really making his 5th. That's what I'm like. All these people were panicking. Literally panicking, mass hysteria. And I'm like, the dude is on his 3rd start. Your season's over today, Ben. I hate to tell you this. Your season
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yes, it is. I hate that.
I can't say hook 'em, but go Texas.
Rodney, don't bet on Texas, man.
I've done it already. It's too late. I'm committed. I'm stepping in front of traffic after the game, regardless. Look, I will say this as a gambler, as a fan, as a part-time troll and conditional Ohio State fan. If you don't cover the 21, we got to have a talk. It's a little inflated, but still, we got to have a talk.
Yeah, we're gonna get Maryland by 21. I just think that it's that thing is we're grown. We're a young team, man.
Mhm. West Virginia at Baylor. Baylor is favored by 2, over under at 44. I took Baylor just because I rarely bet West Virginia on the road. They did cover against Oklahoma, but I think this line and with Baylor had a slow start last week and they almost ended up winning. Broke my heart a little. I think they get it right again this week at home.
Man, that's an ugly game.
It is. There's no easy way to call that. And that line is essentially telling you that you got to pick the winner. Like you, like if you pick in West Virginia, you're saying West Virginia is going to win, and if you pick Baylor, you're saying Baylor's like going to flat out win. Like this game isn't going to be decided by 2 points. The winner's going to win by at least 3.
The thing is, Baylor is. I don't know, man. I feel torn about Baylor. I've watched them, and I forgot what their quarterback's name is, but I watched them against Iowa State, and I was like, damn, Baylor's on the up. And then I watch them the next week, and I'm like, I don't know. I ain't touching Baylor. Actually, I'm not touching anything in the Big 12. It all stinks.
It does. We'll just move to the next game. Boise State at BYU. BYU favored by 6. Over-unders at 58. One tidbit here. Boise State has not lost. They have not lost. Let me make sure I get the stat right. They have not lost 4 out of their first 6 games pretty much ever. And they are at risk of losing their 4th game if they play against BYU here. BYU apparently has a couple key injuries. I couldn't find anything because college football for some reason is just like Fort Knox when it comes to like injury reports. But apparently they got some guys nicked up. Boise's on the road. BYU's been just whipping everybody at home, and they've had a fairly tough schedule for independent, more tougher than what they usually have. I gotta lean to BYU here.
BYU is, I mean, they were number 10 in the country, and they got Boise. Yep. Boise hasn't been really, really good. BYU must be really good. They're in a 3:30 spot. I've never seen BYU in a afternoon 3:30 spot, but Boise is just not the Boise that we've known. You know what I mean? Ever since, and I said that earlier this year, they was ranked I think Nevada when they played Nevada. I was like, man, I watched Boise. Boise used under Chris Peterson, Brian Harsin, they always had that offensive creativity. You know what I mean? Boise was going to find some big plays, give you some things where they just look average. I mean, I think now he's just I don't know. I don't even know how to really feel about the program from it's kind of stale. Like we don't even, you know what I mean? Like Boise just doesn't have that same ring to it. I do think BYU's a lot better, and they're gonna race Boise. That's easy.
Yeah, I'm leaning it, and I'm looking for, and it's kind of a weird time too for their area. It's a 3:30 game. Usually you get this at night. Most of Boise games have been at like 10, so it's a weird time. I'm gonna lean BYU. A game that I'm gonna fade because I don't like the coach. FAU at UAB. UAB's favored by 4, over under at 49. As everybody knows, I hate Will Taggart. I will not be betting on Taggart in anything, but I will say that by the numbers, FAU and UAB are basically the same team, but FAU has a slightly better offense according to the data. So do with that what you will. I'm not betting Taggart. My game of the week, because we do love these smaller schools, UTSA Roadrunners at Western Kentucky. The spread's at 3. The over-under's at 71.5. It should be 80. It's going to be a great game. A game that features one of the up-and-coming coaches against one of the up-and-coming offensive minds. It's just going to be one of those games where you can't fault the defense if they don't show up. This is going to be essentially a race to 42, 42, 56. I don't even know. I've put a lot of stock into the Roadrunners this season. I bet them at least 4 times as dogs. And they've outright won at least 3 of those games. So I am gonna bet them again as a dog here. I just like the team. Like I said in the preseason, they returned 21 of the 22 starters from last year. They've shown that has been such a big thing for them. That's just been a huge key for them. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do, So
Western Kentucky's been solid too this year.
Yeah, they have been, and we joke about stuff like that, but it does go a long way when you get through. You're in a system in your second or third year, and you don't really have to waste a lot of time on adjustments because everybody kind of knows this is the next phase of what we're trying to do here as far as our program, as far as our offense, our defense, and this is how we typically play when we play a team of this style. UTSA has been challenging themselves, man. I mean, they've been to Illinois, they've been to Memphis, and now they're at Western Kentucky. So it ain't like they don't know. Yeah, it's not like they don't know what it's like to play on the road. So I like them here. Wouldn't call it outright upset, but I mean, I've been shooting my shot at everything else. Has just been absolutely.
You going Western Kentucky? 3.5?
No, hell no. I'm on UTSA. I'm on the Roadrunners. I'm gonna stay true, man. I'm gonna stay true.
I don't know how Western Kentucky is favorite in this game, which is crazy. But looking at UTSA, I know they've been playing some really close games, like 1 possession, last down. Well, they've been playing some really tight spots. But I feel like Western Kentucky UTSA has been on the right side of just bad things, good things happening. And I feel like Western Kentucky, even though they're 1-3, they've been on this side, just the bad side. They're like the same team, but I'm going to go UTSA to like 38-34 or something like that. I watched a couple of games of the Roadrunners. They look pretty good. They got a black head coach.
Yeah, and the wildest thing about UTSA is like even if they get down by 2 or 3
Sit
scores,
your flip-flopping ass down, man.
They always come back. He wanted a trailer for real. If Sarkisian didn't work out, that was going to be his next target. He was going to ask him. That's all it is. That's all it is. But look, we will be revisiting this unfortunate Texas pick of mine in private, obviously in our chat, because I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be tuned into that game. Marcus, thank you for joining us on the show once again. We will be back next week, and we will have rankings next week because things should be clear. We will do our top 10 and just let the AP do their top 25. But when we get further into the season and the committee that we have in our group and the actual committee do their rankings, we will be doing shows basically dissecting those rankings. All right. So I'll see you next week. Take care.
Peace.